Continuing our coverage at the PDAC, joining me now is Randy Smallwood, CEO of Silver Wheaton. Randy, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Great to be here, Alex. Thanks.
So let's start off with upcoming earnings for the company. Now, I know it's later on in the month, but maybe you can give us a bit of a sneak peek of what to expect?
Sure. I mean, it doesn't take much. You can look at our first three quarters last year, and we were having a pretty good year. And I can summarize by saying we had a pretty good year. Stay tuned for the earnings. We're coming out later on this month.
Good stuff. Now, moving forward, 2013 was a pretty catastrophic year for miners financially, but on the operating side, you're seeing quite a bit of good production coming out. Now, is this the kind of perfect storm that a company like Silver Wheaton looks for? You got companies that are pumping out a lot of production, and they're looking for capital.
That's right. The beauty of this industry is it is very capital intensive. There's always reinvestment required into the industry itself, whether it's at existing mine sites or new acquisitions, and that's what we are as a source of capital. And I think becoming a more and more reference source of capital. We're getting stronger penetration into the industry as a whole. So yeah, very good year for us.
Let's switch it over to Mexico. Now, the country has brought in some new tax reforms. We've seen it in the earnings that are coming out from major companies. Fourth quarter earnings are seeing big write-downs or taxes given to the government, taxes that weren't there before.
Right.
Now, you have 5 streams in Mexico. Is this, moving forward, is this a deterrent for the company to work within the Mexican jurisdiction?
Well, it reinforces our business model where we focus on assets that have healthy operating margins. And one of the reasons is because we want to make sure that there's capacity in these projects to withstand changes in taxation, changes in royalty structures and stuff like that. But I've been watching it. What's happened in Mexico. It is tough because it does hit and it impacts the lower margin operations much more than the higher grade or higher margin operations. And so it's I find it discouraging to see it based on revenues versus on profits. To me, the efforts in something like that, what you're going to wind up doing is putting undue pressure on some of the less profitable operations down there. Whereas there's higher grade ones. So something that was more profit focused would I think be much more effective in terms of generating the revenue for the government. We know that governments are always looking for new sources of revenue, but also still supporting the industry itself.
Now, there's been quite a bit. There's been an uptick in M&A at the end of 2013, and it's kind of carried over into 2014. We've seen companies focusing on Barrick here with divesting a lot of their non-core Australian assets. But when it comes to a streaming company, when you have a stream with certain mines, what kind of contract do you have with the company that you're streaming from? If let's say they'd like to sell that mine to another operator.
Yeah, well, it's different with every project. But we've had 3 assets so far change ownership since we started the company 10 years ago, and so. Our contracts are written to support the transference of ownership all the way through. Some of our contracts we have a say in terms of security or structure in terms of how we have going forward in terms of the new partner. But every contract is different. Every asset is different. Every partner is different, and so each one is sort of uniquely tailored to the situation at hand.
All right, let's wrap it up with gold prices. Now, a bit of a surprising start to 2014 there, with gold probably beating more estimates than people thought. Now, what are your thoughts on the yellow metal and its movements?
Well, it's what makes me particularly bullish about where gold's going right now is that it's doing it in the face of a rising U.S. dollar. And so we're talking about something that's, in other currencies around the world doing even better for the start of this year. So happy to see that. Very rare. Usually you end up seeing higher gold prices with a weakened U.S. dollar. And so I think it does underscore the fact that it is a store of value and it will provide that. So happy to see this movement. Even I didn't predict this. So happy to see some strength coming in. Hope it continues for a while.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for doing this today.
Great to be here. Thanks.
And thank you for watching our continued coverage at the PDAC. If you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to send them to newsfeedback@kitco.com. Keep watching.